1.
Welcome.
0.
Welcome
What was
to another exciting episode of Real Talk Radio, the show that says just because you don't attend with them does not mean that you're not in him. The him being who?
Jesus.
The show that plants seeds and waters seeds. Real Talk Radio is a continuation of the church folk revolution. And today on Real Talk Radio, we are going to be talking about McChurch. MC Church. McChurch. We're going to be talking about the different types of McChurches. We're going to be talking about the franchise, where you may have like one, like Saddleback Church out of California with your boy Rick Warren, and he has one main church and he has different campuses. So he does have like satellite churches. I think Creflo has satellite churches as well. And then you also have the denominational type of franchise McChurch. So, where you may have Kojic and they may have their main church, but they have different churches. They have different districts with district elders and bishops and all this different type of stuff. So that is another form of church franchising. And we will also be digging into the similarities between any and every church you go to. We did a show sort of similar to this where we did the liturgy. We talked about that, the order of service. And that's basically what it is. When you come in, we're going to be talking about, you're going to see the same thing. Now, there may be some differences, some cosmetic differences, and maybe different worship styles, but by far and large, you will get the same type of things when you go to the church. You will see the same types of things. So, for the most part, anyway. So, I'm going to jump off my soapbox and pass the mic to the left-hand side. So, Brother Rob, take the mic.
I got the mic, man. Check. Yeah, McChurch, the franchise in the churches, man, where, what we want to make evident with this show is the fact that we already know that church is basically a business model. The modern church is business. That's basically the bottom line. What we're trying to set out to do today is explore how, like, what that actually looks like. And to me, man, in my estimation, it becomes less about preaching the gospel and more about spreading the franchising. You understand what I'm saying? Because it all boils down to money, of course. Of course, we already know that. So why is it that we need satellite churches here, there, and everywhere in order to spread the gospel? Because if it was really about spreading the gospel, man, then people would be out in the streets. There wouldn't be a need to put up a church here and there and everywhere, this city, that city, satellite church. It takes the focus off the gospel and puts it more on the institution of church, really. So we're going to look at how that looks. Passing the mic.
All right. Yeah. So for me, when I talk about that McChurch, there are, just like they said, there's several different ways you can look at it. When you think about the franchise, and you think about how certain franchises, each franchisee, they can do their own thing, but there are certain things that comes down from the corporation that they must do. Like they have to sell these McRibs, but they can set their own prices. But you will sell these McRibs. When they put the filet of fish on sale, you will put the filet of fish on sale, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? You still going to do these rules, and the same thing with some of these churches. The Kojic has these rules. You're going to abide by these rules. Anything outside of that, you can do what you want to do, but you will abide by these rules. You will do this if you want to be a part of this organization. And then the other aspect is, like you said, you got one church with 3 locations. That's a franchise. I mean, how else can you look at that? One church with 3 locations. You got one pastor pastoring a church, but it's got 3 different locations. And a lot of these churches, they have like big screen TVs or something in the auditorium where the people they simulcast their sermons in different places. So you're getting to hear what the pastor's saying, but you got to watch it on the big screen. And then you got, like you said, I think they talked about I forgot who we talked about earlier, but Eddie Long got New Birth in Charlotte, I think. All these different churches, and all these churches, what they do is these. And another aspect of it is you have some churches like let's just use T.D. Jakes' church for instance. You have smaller churches that fall up under him that quote unquote tithe up to him. They'll tithe up to these churches in order for them to receive materials from T.D. Jakes to teach his stuff. They have to tithe up, and that's what they do. You got to pay to play.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know what you brothers. My point of view from McChurch is almost like you would see with the restaurants, like some using McDonald's as one of the foundations, which is why it's called McChurch. On a lot of blocks here in Chicago, you will have 4 to 5 to 6 styled churches that are on the same block, miles down the road from each other. So, like within 1 mile radius, it's about 40 churches. And I say that to say that all of these churches, which are probably 6 different forms of church, they all have their own rules. Like McDonald's may have the best fries, and Wendy's may have the best nuggets. This church may have a different set of rules and practice. That church would as well. All, of course, under different names, like all of the restaurants. Hence, McChurch. That's one avenue of church that it baffles me how that continues, but it does. So you have one God, one Christ, one Holy Spirit, but 66,000 denominations and sects across the world. And that's like, to me at least, one of the biggest concerns with church by itself, which is one of the reasons I wanted to get out. How do you know this set of rules or that set of rules or these fries or those nuggets, this drink, that burger is best? That gives you the best atmosphere, so to speak, or the best relationship with God. How do you know? Like if you're not studying all of these careful movements going on, like Brother Nate was saying, it's you have certain churches that will make smaller churches of themselves or carbon copies, like a literal fax of itself in another location in order to do precisely what the other church is doing and to increase the funds there. That is a franchise. It's almost like church is the monopoly on making money, and we don't see that. So I'll try to go into that a little bit deeper a little bit later, but I'll pass the mic.
All right.
Dr. Dre.
Well, another aspect, and I mean, this aspect pretty much feeds on what you other guys are feeding on, and I've only seen this out of one church, which was the church that I went to when I was in Brooklyn, but it wouldn't fascinate me if I saw it in other places, where you have one church, and I'll call this church the mother church, will train up a bunch of different pastors, a bunch of different ministers and things like that, and then send them out to start their own churches, okay? But all of those churches that were dispersed from the mother church still has to feed the mother church, basically. It's basically the tithing up aspect. However, not only are you tithing up to that particular church, but the members of that offshoot church from the mother church also has to listen to the pastor of that mother church. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not just your pastor that you're listening to. That bishop, quote unquote, can override that pastor. You understand what I'm saying? And in that case, in that particular situation, you have a little more confusion than most, because if you're under one particular pastor and that pastor who is over your pastor is saying something totally different, then it undermines the authority of the pastor that you're under. And you say to yourself, why am I even going to this church? I might as well go to that other church. I might as well go to the mother church. So that's another aspect of the whole McChurch thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's dig into it. We're talking about these. Let's talk about the franchise aspect of it first. What in your guys' opinion, and I'll just pass the mic around, what is the goal? And I know we're all assuming anyway because we can't really know what people are thinking, but your opinion, what is the goal of creating more churches? And I'll start with myself. When I was a young minister, I'll say, early on, my pastor often said this. He often said, I want to make carbon copies of me. When I hear you preaching, I should hear myself preaching. So, he wanted to train us up and he always said he wanted to send us out, train us up and send us out. But you know how that is. Nobody ever wants you to leave to go out and start another church because that would mean you're now in competition, with them. So they really don't want to send you out. But he will often say that. But I think when they do want to perpetuate, if he does send you out, as John stated earlier, you're going to have to tithe up, because I remember him saying he tithed up to once he joined us, because we were just a non-denominational church, standalone church, no overhead, no oversight, nothing. And he actually joined something called Omega Ministries. And so he started tithing to them from our tithes that we collected. And so that's what he would do if he wanted to send people out to start their own church, we would be under him, because he always wanted to be the quote-unquote general overseer, as he often said. So he would send us out, start us, and we would tithe up to him. And as John said, do what he said, preach the way he wants us to preach. And so I think the goal is to duplicate themselves. One of the goals is to duplicate themselves. Lenore, what's your thoughts?
I'm with you there. Going back to the initial question, why so many churches want to constantly replicate themselves, I have absolutely no idea, with the exception of it just being for finance. Like you said, with it being in control of someone wanting their pride and ego placed upon someone else in order to constantly let that be the case, as if they are the end-all, be-all of preaching and or bishoping and or armor bearing, whatever the case may be. With that, the spread of it, we know the gospel is not being spreaded, especially, again, let me make that statement for people who do know that their churches aren't doing good. We're not talking about good churches. We're talking about carbon copy, horrible churches, which has no reference to the gospel whatsoever. And that is the case in a lot of cases where that's the only reason they want to continuously place up churches or set different sets of churches here and there. It's no different than an army setting up bases on different parts of the world so that we can be organized wherever we wish to go. These churches are organized only in the servicing of money, or collecting it, that is. If you do have a great gospel-invested church, that might not be the case. You just have a small church, and then you may get a corner store here or there. But for these bigger 10,000, 20,000 seaters, their mission, of course, is to collect that money.
John, your thoughts or opinions?
Yeah, I was going to say that it's ask me the question again, because I had like three different thoughts going on in my head.
Okay. I was wondering, like I said, we can't really say what people are thinking. So what would your opinion be on why we see so many, and we're talking about the multiple campuses type church, not really the denominational aspect, but the multiple campuses type church like Saddleback and Rick Warren, all them guys. Why do you think that they do it?
Okay. One aspect we have to keep in mind is that a lot of these churches really, really, truly believe that they are doing what God called them to do or what they told them to do, even though we know for a fact that, God didn't say that, but they really, truly believe that this is what they've been called to do, to spread the gospel, and they think that's their mission. And like you said, to replicate themselves, if they can replicate, if they're doing, big here, doing big things here, they can replicate that and do it elsewhere. And so, part of it, a lot of these guys are not really out to be nefarious, but there are some who are nefarious. They're businesses, and we have to keep that in mind, that the church, and when I'm talking about the church, I'm talking about what we see Sunday, day in, day out, these 501c3 corporations are businesses. And the bottom line of a business is this finance. And so if you can create more of yourself, you create more finance to do more. So that's part of the reason. They want to keep their thing alive. They want to be successful. That's how they rate success. But that's not how the Bible rates success. The Bible does not rate success in numbers, but by souls. And they see bigger numbers means more success. So we have to look at that aspect too.
Yep.
Brother Rob?
Yeah, you guys have nailed it, man. To me, like you said, not counting the denominations and everything, but these just multiple campus churches, man, it's really all about money. It's the same way where, why would you take a fast food franchise and put it in a city where, or even a section of a city where there's already why would you take a McDonald's and put it in a section of the city where there's already a Burger King, Taco Bell, Hardee's or Carl or whatever? Because you want to take your brand of fast food to that section of the city and you want to compete. You understand what I'm saying? So either that or these people are putting their brand of fast food, quote unquote, or church, quote unquote, in a place where there aren't any other franchises. So it's all about it's about taking over territory as well. It's about just expansion. It's about revenue, man, because it's like a mindset of if you build it, they will come. So you take a city or a small town or whatever where there might not be this brand of church, and you try and you erect a campus there, and you get people to come, and like John said, it's more people, and they look at that success in numbers of people, and of course that means more money, man. It's just the bottom line. And I think that going on what John said as well, they might not have nefarious intent, but that's always the bottom line, whether they're being slick about it or not. Bottom line is getting more money, man. That's what's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre?
Well, I'm going to, first of all, co-sign everything that has already been said, and I'm going to add this to it. Churches are in the business of selling hope. Hope for the believer, basically. And that's why you will find, very rarely will you find a church that's in an area where people are already well off, because as far as they're concerned, they don't need that hope. Okay, you'll find these churches popping up in low income areas, high crime rate areas, where people are looking for a way out of their misery. Okay, and people will pay through the nose as much as they possibly can in order to get that relief that they're looking for. Okay? Now, when a pastor sees that that these people are willing to pay through the nose in order to get that, what do? They'll open up in another impoverished, low-income, high-crime area in order to sell more hope to people. And basically, just like everyone else has already said, whether their intentions are good or bad, it all comes down to money. Not only money for the staff, the pockets of the pastor, but money to keep the machines going, okay? Because it costs money in order to maintain a building. It costs money in order to get the things fixed and get the bills paid and all of that other stuff. It's the surplus. It's the surplus that comes from that people are living on, okay? And the problem with that surplus is that it's not going back out to the people who actually need the hope that you're selling. It's
very little
because it's funny because you have one pastor who has 12 different satellite churches, and he's receiving tithes and offerings from each one of those churches. Yet person can come to that main church asking for help and get none.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, were you done, Dre? I didn't mean to cut you off if you weren't done.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me play DA here for a second, devil's advocate, because you know it's going to come up. What's so wrong about having multiple campuses under one leadership? What's wrong about that? Are these guys, aren't they apostles that build other churches? I just do that wrench in there with the apostle thing. But what's so wrong about building other churches? So we got more churches now, more people can get saved and know about God and hear from God now. So what's so wrong about having multiple campuses under one leadership? What's wrong with it? John?
What's wrong with having a single church, period? The same thing is wrong with having one church. It just makes it worse. Because if you got one church, I mean, you already got 40 churches on every corner. You know I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. It's already saturated with churches, and they are doing nothing, barely anything to help the community now. So now you just want to create more? And I like something that you said a long time ago, Jonathan, about how it's multiplication by division. When you have these church splits, not necessarily church splits, but even in these franchises, the quote unquote the church is growing by dividing, and
like
all this false doctrine. Yeah, all this false doctrine is being spread through more churches, through more pastors. More people are being sucked and duped into these lies. They are being lied to. More people are being harmed. Spiritually harmed, spiritually lied to, spiritually abused. And I'm not saying every single church is like that, but there's still that opportunity for that to happen, because we know that the longer you stay in the system, that the system is going to get rooted inside of you. That's what's going to happen. And so to me, that's what's wrong with it. If I believe something's wrong with one church, the way it's ran and the way the system operates, if you multiply that, that's more of it, more of the same.
I have two sides of the coin for that question. The first side of that coin becomes something that I've been seeing on Facebook a whole lot now. These whole pray for your pastor, you don't know what they go through, blah blah blah. Pastor burnout. Okay, if you have more than one campus, okay, you as the pastor you're going to burn yourself out a whole lot quicker than you would if you only had one church. Now, the flip side to that is pastor opportunity. Okay, if you're already corrupt in the system, all right, more campuses are going to allow more opportunities for you to practice your corrupt business practices, whether it's bad tithing, the tithing aspect, period, whether it's you see somebody that look kind of cute over at another campus, it's easier for you to cheat on your wife because she's way across town in another campus. There's a whole lot of things that's wrong with having multiple campuses. That's just two of them that I can think of right now.
LL?
Interesting.
I pretty much agree with you all. Go ahead.
No, you got a comment?
Not too much. I would say I pretty much agree.
Okay.
Well, let me hold on. Let me jump in and say something on, if you don't mind, just to piggyback on something that Dre was talking about. Because you got one pastor, and his pastor burned out, but you have pastor burned out when they only have 100 members. And we don't see in Scripture where one pastor was over all of these people and they had all of this responsibility. So if you get burnt out with one member and just say you're a member of this church, and say you got it in a mega church. It's got 3,000 people in it. You got one pastor over all these people. What if you want to meet with your pastor? You don't want to meet with one of the senior elders. You want to meet with your pastor because that's your pastor. But you can't meet with them. So it makes it even worse when you got one pastor over 3 mega churches, or at least one mega church with 2 other medium-sized churches. How is that possible? How can you actually pastor biblically all those people? How can it happen?
Well, you can't, and that's one of the things that I failed to mention while I was talking. When you burn out your pastor, you burn yourself out as well as a member, because when you need that help, a burnt out pastor can't help you. A burnt out elder can't help you. You understand what I'm saying? They can't help themselves. How can they then help you?
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that, when they have these multiple campuses, that when you go there, that nobody's actually preaching. They set up like a screen, and it's kind of like almost like live stream, where you get there and the pastor's preaching at his main campus at the main church, and people are just there like watching TV basically. They go there, do everything, and then when it's time for the pastor to come on, then they'll put the pastor on, so they're watching him. Is that true? Anybody know if that's true or not?
That's what I said earlier.
It's very true. My last church, man, the pastor had aspirations of he actually got up one time in the pulpit and was talking about how he wanted to set up a hologram of himself at a satellite campus, preaching at the main campus, simultaneously simulcasting a hologram of himself preaching at the satellite campus. So it's crazy, man. So, I mean, the bottom line is, man, when you listen to these guys talk long enough, then the truth comes out. They might not overtly say it, but it's about money. And like Sister Marlene said on Facebook a minute ago, it's basically cult branding, man. If you really want to just get down and dirty with it, it's cult branding.
Cult branding. Wow.
Cult branding.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got a couple callers, guys. Let's get these callers in. First up is area code 972. 972. You are live on Real Talk Radio. Welcome to McChurch.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so you guys. So before the McChurch thing came in, when these pastors started doing multiple services, 3 services in a day, caused that same problem. It caused the same problem. When my husband and I were going to the last church that we attended, I was asked that by our quote unquote under shepherd, what I felt about him doing that type of thing. They were doing that, and they were cutting out the Sunday evening service, and she said, well, it's just going to be better for everybody. I said, better how? And I said, who's going to be doing all these services? She says, well, the first one will be done by so-and-so, and then the second one will be done by the pastor, because that's where most of the money comes in. I said, so this is not about, again, being there and preaching the gospel of the kingdom. This is about making money. I said, that's not what we're here for. And I said, as far as the Sunday night is concerned, I said, people can't come here. Everybody can't come Sunday morning because people work. And I said, so it sounds like to me you all don't care about the people. You just care about the end game, which is how much you can get for whatever message he thinks he needs to preach at the 10 o'clock service. And I said, what's going to wind up happening is when he gets sick, because he's out here doing all this preaching in the morning, and then, when they're not there Sunday night, they're going someplace else to go get some money somewhere else at somebody else's church, we're going to be blamed because they're going to say we haven't prayed enough for him or whatever. And that exact same, it played out just like that. We were blamed from behind the pulpit for him getting sick, because he did get sick. He did get sick, and they blamed the congregation for his sickness because we weren't praying enough for him, because the enemy was attacking him, and our lack of prayer for him is what caused him to get sick. So It was ridiculous. I mean, and I was one, and not too long after that, we got sat down as quote unquote covenant leaders because we didn't go along with all this stupid nonsense that they were pushing even then. So it's not so much even, and now he has the franchise churches as well. He's out there in different areas doing it, making it even more lucrative for him, and not his concern for the congregation at all. And this is the same pastor who had declared to his congregation that he was a Levite, he was deserving of the tithe because he has no inheritance. And so all this stuff just goes on and on and on and on. I heard that myself. Somebody told me he said that, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go drop in and see if I hear it myself. And I happened to drop in on a service, and he said those exact words, that he is deserving of the tithe, that he's a Levite and he has no inheritance in this land. And I was just shocked and appalled still. So it didn't. So again, the multiple services is what started it, and that's where they felt like they had to go out there and open up all these other ones because it just wore too much on them. So I just it's just a shame that we keep getting back to this point of the greed that comes in, where it's no longer about God's people and His children. It's more about how they can fleece the flock of God to get the advantages that they want to have. And I also did that over here at the Potter's House when they were out here in Parker or whatever county here next to South Fork Ranch. When we went out there a couple times to visit, because some friends of ours asked us to do that, and the pastor's daughter or them got there and was telling everybody, you owe the tithe. We don't care, if you're on a fixed income. We don't care if you lost your job. I sent an email to them. I said, how dare y'all? When is enough ever going to be enough? The greed is just not even good, and you all don't even care. When is enough ever going to be enough? Did I get a reply? No. I mean, because it doesn't fit their narrative. Oh, she's just a visitor. It doesn't matter. She just visited. She won't be back, so we don't have to reply. And that's the kind of stuff when you're sending out these warnings to people, telling you better stop what you're doing. They don't care because the end game is to get as much as they can while they can. Because when a person can say, my grandchildren have nothing to worry about, then that lets me know you don't got too much of my money. But they don't care. So that's one of and they were pushing TD Jakes products and all that kind of stuff over there. I mean, you walked through the door, as soon as you walked in, it was a plethora of tapes, you name it, books, whatever, of TD Jakes' material. And so it just goes right back to what you guys are saying. They know now. They've been in it long enough. They know what they're doing, and none of them can't say, to me, they can't sit back and say, well, it's not about the money. Well, then you tell me what it's about then. It's not about the money. Right. Because it can't be anything else. It can't be because you're preaching the gospel. It can't be that. And for people to say, well, my pastor doesn't make money off the church anymore. Well, he started that. He's getting what do they call it? Royalties, residuals. He's getting kickbacks. Whatever word you want to use, he is still making money off of the congregation. And people would be blind to the fact they don't want to own up to it. But that's just the truth of the matter. That's still going on, and it's just sad. It's just sad. But you got to keep doing what you're doing, y'all. Y'all keep bringing these topics up because it will set some people free. Y'all keep up the good work.
All right, thanks, sis. All right,
always appreciate you calling.
All right, let's see. Area code 718. Welcome to McChurch. What is your name and your number?
My name is Irene. I'm calling from the Bronx. I just wanted to verify that they do have the circuit television because a friend of mine, I believe it's on Grand Concourse or Fordham Road, where Creflo Dollar has set up his church.
Okay.
It used to be a theater, and but that particular area is a very busy, commercial area where that church is set up. And she went one Sunday, and she said they saw him on the circuit television. They have security guards, and you have to, when you come in, they do the the search.
What?
Yeah.
Like the metal detectors and all that stuff?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
And he's not even there?
No, he wasn't there.
there?
No, I think he only comes like I think she told me maybe he comes in like once a week, maybe on a Saturday or something like that. But another reason why they have the closed circuit, and I guess he broadcasts from College Point, wherever he is. I was wondering why they don't put their other ministers over these churches, and it's because they don't want to share the monies. Because it would make sense if you have other ministers. If you're going to have these multiple campuses, put one of them over it. But no.
Wow.
Metal detectors when you come in.
Wow.
But that's a very lucrative area because there are a lot of stores and everything in that area. Because that particular auditorium used to be a movie theater. When he first started coming to New York, he was at Madison Square Garden. That's when he first started making his imprint into New York City. And he used to have services there at Madison Square.
Is it the building he had now, is it called World Changers?
I don't know the name.
Know? Okay.
Exactly, but I know it's his church because my friend went and she told me.
Okay. Oh wow, that is crazy. That's crazy.
I think he probably flies in, maybe on Saturdays.
Oh yeah, that jet. They probably do fly.
I don't understand, and I know years ago, when my husband was living, and they started with these multiple churches. He always said to me, I don't believe in that. He said, because how can they be effective when they have all of these different churches? He always said that. But that has a lot to do with their ego, too. That has a lot to do with their ego.
Yep. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. All right, sis, we appreciate your call. We got another caller we want to get on here. So thank you, and thanks for letting us know about that, about Creflo up in New York. I thought so, but I wasn't for sure, so we appreciate your info. And I'm going to check out to see what the name of it is. I'm going to look it up. All right, thank you, sis. Area code 318. Welcome to McChurch. What is your name and your number?
318. Hello,
can you turn your radio down? Hello.
Hi, this is Brenda in Freeport. How y'all doing?
Good. How you, Brenda?
Okay. I'm listening to this show, and you know, there is nothing. This is why God got rid of, destroyed the church, the church building years and years ago, because of this. The same foolishness is going on right now. We've got franchises for churches, and it's all about making money. I don't care how we try to rationalize and sweeten it up. It's all about money. And at least when we McDonald's or the Burger Kings or whatever, when we order a hamburger, we get a hamburger. When we go in these churches, we're getting everything but the truth of God. Everything but biblical information. We're getting everything that's going to fatten the pockets of the people, the leadership in those ministries. And they're putting them on every corner in our communities, or just as destructive. I mean, it's in worse shape than before a church ever existed. And it's shameful. And we sit in the churches and we continue to support this kind of behavior. It is just ridiculous. It's like the people have put their blinders on and they tied them in knots. They don't want to see. So that's what I had to share. You guys are doing a fabulous job of informing. I'm on here. I'm listening every Sunday morning. This is my church.
All right.
I go to church in my pajamas listening to you guys.
All right.
Tell Apostle Sheets we say hey.
All right.
All right. You know what? One thing she said that really that stood out to me was the fact that when you go to McDonald's and you order the Big Mac, you getting the Big Mac. But when you go to church, you're supposed to be hearing the unadulterated truth about the Word of God, but that's not what you're getting. You're getting everything but. And I'm going to set up, because I know we got another caller or something. Do we?
No, that's it. Ain't no more callers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I want to chime in on that aspect, too, because when she said you go, no matter where you go, if you go to Burger King, if you go to McDonald's, if you go to Hardee's, at the end of the day, you're still getting a burger or a chicken sandwich or some French fries. Now, they may cook them different, they may dress them different, but you're still getting a burger. You're still getting some potatoes fried in some oil. You're still getting some chicken. You may get a salad, but somebody's background is extremely loud.
Who's checking out at the grocery store, man? Who's in the checkout line? Who's at Whole Foods right now? Who is that?
Right. He's supposed to be on the show.
My bad, y'all. My bad. I'm at Walmart.
You bad.
He was working it out, too. He was quick.
Oh, my God. Listen to that.
Yeah, brother, let us know when you're ready, man. Brother, he buying them ties. That's what he getting. He buying his ties.
Right.
I done lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah.
You was talking about you get a burger.
At the end of the day, you still getting a burger. So, like I said, you maybe cook different and maybe dress differently, but you still getting a burger. So when you go to these churches, and this like the other aspect, trying to shift gears to the cookie cutter Christianity, which I got that idea from Sister Evelyn, friend of Hawkins. Yeah. Right, Sister Evelyn. She did a small little short YouTube video on cookie cutter Christianity, and that gave us the idea for this show. But at the end of the day, you're still getting the same thing. You're gonna go in, you're gonna get something to make you feel good, make you feel better. Some how to get over type of message.
How I got over.
I don't want to call it a sermon because it's really not a sermon. It's a self-help, motivational message, how to get over, what you need to do to overcome. Don't worry about your haters. Basically, you're getting the same thing. You're going to go in, you're going to get some singing, you're going to get some praying, you're going to get some money taken up, you're going to get a message. Some churches you're going to have people lay hands, some of them you ain't. You're going to take communion every once in a while. You're getting the same thing, basically. So you can go, it doesn't matter if it's a white church, a black church, a Chinese church, a Hispanic church. You're getting the same thing. The liturgy, the order of service may be different, but you're getting the same thing. McChurch.
Yep.
It's
right.
McChurch.
And along those lines, what Jonathan was talking about, what's the difference between the Pentecostal church and the Baptist church? Really, ones that don't do all the hooping and hollering, the only difference really is one allows you to be more expressive in your emotions than the other one. Other than that, you're getting the same thing. Like you said, you're going to get the prayer. You're always going to get prayer. You're going to have some singing. You're going to have some a lecture. I'm going to put it that way, so they don't want to call it a sermon. You're going to have a lecture. You're going to get some notes. And basically what's going to happen, you may have some dancing. And so we're just like going to McDonald's. You're going to get a burger. You might get a Big Mac, or you might get a quarter pounder with cheese. But you can't go to Burger King and get a Big Mac. You can get a Whopper or a Whopper Jr., but you can't get a Big Mac. But you're still getting a burger. So it's the same thing. Like you said, dressed up differently. Burger King said you can have it your way. So if you want a Whopper with cheese, but you don't want the tomatoes and onions, you can get it that way. And you can get it everywhere else. But if you go to church, you can't have it your way. You have it the pastor's way, because it's his way, or the highway. And I'm not talking about God's way. I'm talking about the HIGH, get out of here way.
El, you got some thoughts on that, man? You still here? Okay. Go ahead, Rob. Chime in, Rob.
Nah, man. You can move on.
Oh, no, I ain't done. I just thought you might have a comment on that.
No.
But we can't get people to understand, because you get people who go to a Pentecostal church and they'll go to another church where they don't do all the stuff they do, and they say, well, that's a dead church. That's a boring church.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? Hold my mule, old Shouting John. Remember that? I mean, just what I'm saying. So you look at that church as less than or not spiritual enough because they're not shouting and dancing, not running the aisles. And then you get somebody who's not used to all that, who come to a quiet church. They want to come and sit and get this message and then leave and go home. And then they go to a church where they're doing all that stuff, and they look like, what's wrong with y'all?
These fools is crazy.
This is crazy.
That was funny. That was funny.
When you come from that type of quiet church, and then you go to a church where people shouting, and you ain't never heard shouting and speaking in tongues, people passing out, and they laying sheets on them and all this stuff, and people running around the church and all this, and they don't get, and it's hyper like that. It's very emotional. And if you're not used to that, then you're thinking that they're crazy. But on the other hand, if you're used to that and you go to a church where they ain't doing that, then they ain't crazy. I mean, then they crazy. So my point is that you look at them differently. But at the end of the day, they're still getting the same thing. When you go into the church, you're going to get some singing, some praying, a message. They're going to take up some, take your money. You may get some messages or announcements here and there. Some churches that women speak, some churches don't. It just depends. But at the end of the day, you're getting the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, man, McChurch, cookie cutter, it's the same. Cut from the same cloth, the same pattern. You know what they do with a cookie cutter? It makes them look the same. You get cookies. You ever made cookies with a cookie cutter? Especially it's getting the holidays times. We were little. They used to make. My mama, you had the little star cookies, the Christmas tree shaped cookies. You do it, and you used to make cookies, and they all came out the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we're looking at when you look at any church. Like I said, it doesn't matter the nationality, if it's white, black, Hispanic, Chinese, whatever. You're still getting the same things. I was watching a YouTube video of some Koreans, and they was singing "Oh Lord, How Excellent," and I love that song. And they didn't have no accents or anything. Oh Lord, how excellent! And they sounded great. You're getting the same thing, no matter where you go.
Right.
Cookie cutter. So you can walk in any church. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Now, I was going to say, you can walk in any church and you can expect the same thing. They may be dressed differently. Some churches don't require you to dress up. And when I mean, and I wasn't meaning your clothes when I say by dress differently. But they may do things different. They may season their meat different. But you're still getting the basics, basically the same thing. There's no difference.
Mm-hmm. Still getting the burger.
No difference. Yep, you're still getting the burger. Go ahead, Rob.
And I mean, to take it just a little bit deeper, man, you know how we often talk about the institutionalized church mindset? So no matter where you go, right, eventually that's going to come out. And I speak from experience. Even if one church prides itself on being more biblically sound than the next church or the last church, in my case, I went to a church that prided itself. When I left the big mega church around here that I was going to, when I was serving as an armor bearer and all that for several years. When I left that church, I went right to another church, and where they prided themselves on being much more biblically sound, and they were very much more exegetical, if that's a word, with their handling of the scripture than the last church. The last church that I went to, or the church that I left, is full of false doctrine. Just about everything they preach is based on twisted scripture. So I went to this church, and it was refreshing for me, because I'm like, man, they're really breaking the word down line by line, verse by verse, in context. But guess what? The longer I went there, the more I found that the institutionalized church mindset prevails no matter where you go. And that's part of the reason why I eventually left, because with that institutional church mindset is that same religious kind of, that religious spirit, for lack of a better term. I didn't really want to say that, but, that's what I thought of at the moment. But it's the same religious spirit that prevails no matter where you go. It could be, a church that really, really preaches the sound doctrine of Scripture, but if it's an institutional church, man, and we've talked about this extensively on this show, that institutionalized church mindset is very prevalent, and it's cookie cutter. It's wherever you go, it's going to come out.
Mm-hmm. And I think you said something that brought something else that I had been thinking about, but I forgot. When you hear this, we don't do church as usual. Have y'all heard that?
Yeah.
Y'all heard that? Anyone else heard that phrase? We ain't church as usual over here. Like, oh, really? So I actually, it was about 2 years ago, about this time, I went to one of my dudes I was with an elder with at my last church, and, I had left. I had been gone, and he invited me. He's like, man, this ain't church as usual over here, man. We don't do it. This is something different. And so I went, and it was a little different, but it really was church as usual. It was the same thing. The same cookie cutter. Except for they were very technologically advanced in their worship. They had and it wasn't a real big church, but it was probably about 60, 70 members in there. But they had the lights moving like it was a concert, like those type of concert lighting, different colors, moving up and down. They had smoke, like literally had smoke. The sound system was like uber amazing. They had the big screen TVs. The pastor played some clips about Will Smith crying, looking for his daddy. I remember that scene. He was like, "Why you don't want me, man?" You know that one scene when his daddy left him. So he played that and preached about that. And I'm like, bro, what is... And they took up the little tithes and offering. And then they tried to get me. Something like, oh, if you want to email, just give us your email address. We'll email you a copy of this. I was like, I don't want that. But he told me that it's not church as usual. We do it different. No, you don't. You don't. It's the same.
But you know what?
It ain't church as usual.
Right.
Church for people who don't like church. What?
Right.
Go ahead,
it's
John.
like this, and you'll hear it a lot. They'll say, come experience church with us, or our worship experience. You never had church like you had it with us. But it may be different in the beginning, but once the honeymoon is over, what's really different? Nothing. You get the joy and the excitement of doing something a little different or something new. But like I said, once the honeymoon is over and you get down to brass tacks and whatever, get all the sweetness out of the way, all the, the goodness, and then you get to see the truth of it, and you get to realize, like Rob said, ain't no different. It really isn't any different. It's still a burger.
Yep.
It might taste different, but it's still ground beef between
right.
two buns. On the bun. It's still a ground beef. It's still a burger. Whether it's a plain hamburger or it's decked out with hot dogs and sausage and potato chips and lettuce, the all-American burger or whatever, it's still a burger.
I was trying to catch in your analogy because you were making me slightly hungry. I've missed breakfast, but
me too.
I agree. I totally agree.
I'm really hungry.
McChurch, baby, it's McChurch, man.
Yeah.
It's McChurch.
I need to go visit a McChurch and get me a mix. I don't know, but
a McTide. I want some McTide.
A McTide.
But you know what? Something you had. Something you had said, I don't know, I think Dre had brought up the word branding. And it's funny how these churches do different things and churches steal these concepts from each other. Because around the time where they do the, is it the first fruits or something? But they talk about how, it is a phrase that they do. No, the 90-day tithe challenge. And there's a certain phrase, if you Google it, this certain phrase, you'll see all these different churches using the same words over and over and over again. Basically saying the same thing. A 90-day tithe challenge. That's exactly what it is. But I'm thinking about how if you go to Burger King and you order nuggets, sometimes you don't say, give me a 10-piece chicken McNugget at Burger King. Or you want when they go to Dairy Queen and you get a Blizzard, you may say, give me a McFlurry. Because it's branding. Or when you go to get an adhesive strip, you call all adhesive strips Band-Aids. It's branding. And they copy each other. What's the difference?
Yeah. To your point, John, man, the big church that I was going to, right before I met you guys, the pastor had somebody on payroll that he sent out. He just sent them out to different churches, man. Just go to service and sit there and mentally take notes, and then come back and incorporate the best of what he saw into their service.
What?
Had a guy that he paid a guy to do that, bro. He said that it's a guy that has a kind of lofty title in the church structure, the church hierarchy or whatever. Had a pretty lofty title, and probably, just sent them out to different churches, man, as part of his duties, to scout different churches, just go to service, and because I remember him being gone for several, Sundays at one point. He was just going out to churches and just, taking notes. And then when he came back, he had all these new, fresh ideas. And you started seeing all this brand, fresh, spanking new stuff popping up in the church. His branding and his franchising. Just like you would see in a store, just like you would see in a fast food joint, just like you would see at a car dealership, just new and improved ways of getting you in there and getting you to part with your money. And that's the bottom line. It's not about the gospel, y'all. I mean, seriously, when you really look at it, it's not about the gospel. And it's not about your soul. It's about them getting paid.
It's perpetuating that, and they're trying to make themselves grow. Branding, I think, is the best. That's how you can look at it as a business, especially if you're 501c3. You have to look at it as a business. Branding, they want your name on everything. Put my name on. That's our church. Our church is doing this. Our church is doing that. I thought this was Christ's church. That's what I thought. But even if the name of your church is Christ's church, you're still going to put it out there. Christ's church located at blah, 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 whatever. But we're talking about the body of Christ. You're talking about a building, a location. And I don't know how often we've talked about it on this show, numerous, where the location is not important. And we got to get people to understand that the location, where you go, is not important. The messenger is not important. So we put our location on a pedestal. We put the messenger on a pedestal, either consciously or unconsciously. And a lot of times we'll go to a church because of the messenger and not necessarily because of his message. You might think you're going because of his message, but you're going because of who he is. He's a celebrity preacher, a celebrity pastor. He got a big name. You see him on TV all the time. And so now you feel privileged and honored that you are even allowed to come and be a part of this great thing he's doing for God, or this great thing she's doing for God. Oh, and don't let them call you up and lay hands on you. Oh, you really feel special. But this is idolatry, folks. It's idolatry. It's idolatry. We got to get out of that mindset on you got to go here to hear the word. And they keep people, it's perpetuation. It's a cycle. So you get new, fresh meat in, and then you raise them up. And as John had alluded to earlier, so then you had a church splits. And guess what? The cycle repeats itself. So out of that church split, so you got Brother Henry done left because he mad with the pastor preaching, and Brother Henry done started his own church over here. And so Brother Henry done took half the members from Elder Timothy's church And so Brother Henry done built his church up, and now they done grew. And so now Brother Jonah done got mad at Brother Henry, and he done split. So you see how the cycle continues, and it grows, but you still have McChurch because they all basically pattern after the same thing. That's how we got all these denominations anyway. Mm-hmm. Christianity started off on one linear line. It was one. It was just the believers, the body of Christ. They called themselves the Way. But then the state got a hold of it with Constantine, and he had the Catholic Church. But guess what? You still had the true believers, the true body of Christ. But then Catholicism broke off of it. But guess what? Out of Catholicism, you got the Reformation. And out of the Reformation, you got all these different branches, and each one. And it's still enlarging itself, but you still got the true believers over there.
Mm-hmm.
Who have
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was on one.
No, I wanted to just rewind a little bit. My homie Tawana said that when we were talking about the branding aspect of it, she texted me and said that they call that shopping your comp in retail, or comparing your business to competitors and stealing what looks good. So when that dude was going around to different services and just sitting there taking mental notes and bringing back to the church that he worked at, those ideas, that's what he was doing. And then that other thing that we talked about, John, where you were talking about, one of you brought up that phrase that if you Google it, it'll come up with like hundreds. Here's the phrase. Listen up, people. Google this phrase. Google this right quick, and just be amazed at all of the carbon copies that you see pop up. It's like your computer's going to explode. But this is the phrase. It is the storehouse is the Old Testament picture of the New Testament church. That's the phrase. If you Google this phrase, the storehouse is the Old Testament picture of the New Testament church, you're going to come up with so many different churches that have used that phrase inside of their particular church's teaching on tithing, which is false. That statement is false. So automatically that they're teaching the false doctrine of tithing. I just wanted to put that out there because it's just like a little experiment. Just Google that. The storehouse is the Old Testament picture of the New Testament church. And, and take a screenshot of the results and put it on our For Real Talk Radio Facebook page. Just screenshot it. The storehouse is the Old Testament picture of the New Testament church. Google that and just be amazed.
They have to do that, man. They have to have something in Scripture to be able to back up their theology. I made this comment the other day. I was having a discussion, and someone was asking about the restoration of pastors. How does that work? Should it take place? And I said one of the things is a huge problem with people when it comes to dealing with issues of an institutionalized church. They tend to try to squeeze biblical theology and a biblical message into an unbiblical antichrist container. And it's very, very difficult to squeeze the truth into a falsehood. So a lot of times you'll hear people have discussions about the institutionalized church, but they'll try to come from a biblical angle to explain an unbiblical concept that was never God's idea in the first place. So it's oftentimes, that's why you see people running around in circles and creating new doctrine and new theology, taking bits and pieces of biblical theology and biblical principles. It never works. And this whole idea of an actual institutionalized church building business is antichrist and and not biblical. So when you try to figure out how to do it biblically, that's why you have so many of these offshoots. That's why you have so many of these franchises. That's why you have so many of these cult-like situations and institutions, because they're trying to create something that was never God's intention and idea at all. So when you begin to have this conversation with these pastors who, in many instances, are motivated with a true and sincere desire to spread what they deem as the gospel to non-believers. They're motivated with this really intentional and pure-like desire to give what they deem as the gospel to people. So they feel like, I need to set up shop on every block, on every corner, in order for me to be able to make sure that this message can get out there. But that's what businessmen do. Businessmen desire to say, hey, I want my product to be in different stores. I want my product to be in different Walmarts and different grocery stores. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have the best sales pitch. I'm going to make sure that I have the best sales people. I'm going to make sure I have the best delivery men. I'm going to package my product in the best container, a shiny container, with a nice slogan or catchphrase. That's what business people do. So when you see these situations, man, with all these churches popping up, it's really incredibly disheartening. But having the understanding that the church, the institutionalized church system, was never God's idea of spreading the gospel. It's completely an unbiblical concept. There's nowhere in Scripture that you can point to that God said, hey, you got to go to this building, gather around, one dude on a pedestal preaching down to you, a hierarchical system, tithing, all these issues. And that's the biggest issue when we deal with any of these topics. It's hard to point to them and say, hey, I have a foundation for the institutionalized church system in Scripture. There isn't any. So it's actually, these folks are businessmen. These pastors, they're not more than businessmen, man. CEOs of companies. And what does a CEO do? Look to expand their business.
Yep. And by that, the bottom line. Brandon, that bottom line, the profit margin.
Yep.
Whether they, like you said, whether they do.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
No, you go. I've been talking all show.
I was just dropping, piggybacking off. There should literally be no business model of a church that is literally like McDonald's. It shouldn't be, but there is, and the parallels are crazy. So, for example, you have McDonald's who will put a billboard up even, taller than, how most expressways are, pretty high in the air, like maybe 20, 30 feet in the air, and the billboard is still tall enough to reach that to get you to come. Just the same as they get people in church to pass out placards, to get on your Facebook page and pass out stuff to get you to come. Get into McDonald's, get into a line, you see what you want on a menu, and you pay for it. And you have this whole structure of people who are there invested in McDonald's in order to make it work. You got your people that mop, you got your people that do fries, you got your people that fry the burgers, you got your people that handle the registers, and the overall manager over that, who then takes all of their revenue and gives it to a bigger manager. It's the same when you walk into church. There is no menu, but you pretty much know what you're going to ingest. It's going to be flipping and flopping through the Bible by one person that's up top. It's going to tell you to give your money because that's what you come there to do. You may get a chicken or fish plate, whatever the case may be, on a particular Sunday, but you're sitting down in pews just like the people who work the fryers or the registers. They're like pew sitters, and they do nothing more than just sit there, and they're just a part of the congregation of what McDonald's does, the church. And all of these parallels go to show that the moment you are inside of a church, which is, as El was saying, it's a pretty much religious structure. That's all it is. With the CEO, it's just like being at McDonald's. You're giving up your money for a product. That's it at the end of the day. And they're telling you that the product is Jesus, and you're paying for Jesus every Sunday or whatever other days you go to church. That's criminally insane, and it's just insanity by itself. Like, very much so, and I don't understand how people can't see that parallel, that paradigm that exists there that allows you to come to church every day or every Sunday, pay for Jesus, leave, come back and pay for Jesus again. It's almost like you're in the gate. Go ahead, I'm sorry, bro.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut anybody off, but I wanted to say this. When I use and I say that the institutionalized church system is unbiblical, it would be the same thing in the natural realm as having an illegal business. Hence why I often refer to the institutionalized church system in an analogy, in a metaphoric way, as the drug game. When I think of the institutionalized church system, I immediately think of The Wire. I think of Avon Barksdale. I think of Snoop. I think of all these cats from The Wire. And then when you think and you put it in that context and understanding that essentially with it being an unbiblical, meaning there's no biblical basis for what they do in the institutionalized church system. Now, are there certain pieces and practices that you can point to in the Scripture? Absolutely. But as a whole, it is unbiblical. So in the natural, which would be essentially the same thing as an illegal business, it's the same thing as a drug game. The product would happen to be what? Jesus. Mm-hmm. But how do they get the product to people? It's the manner in which they package it. It's the way, man, it's T.D. Jakes, who would essentially be probably the most prominent and dominant black Christian pastor. He would be essentially your Avon Barksdale. Mm-hmm. Those dudes that are with him behind the scenes and those dudes, other people, you would have people like Vody Balcom. He would be like the Stringer Bell, the straight-laced reform cat who is behind the scenes trying to do things in a so-called legal manner. It's the same type of thing. And I think when people begin to really understand that Jesus never called for the church to be created and put in place like this. Now, do good things happen in these assemblies? Sure. Do actual people come to know Christ? Sure. But I can say the same thing can be taking place at any other form of business. Can I say that if someone was standing in Walmart doing the same thing that these pastors are doing, will somebody come to know Christ? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Why not? That's the part about this that I think people struggle with, or people within the church struggle with. They don't know what we know about the behind the scenes that take place within the church. Like most of us on this panel have actually been in behind the scenes, who have sat in the pastor's office and heard them discuss the budget. You know, understanding the need for making sure that we ramp up the music and that we have everything started on time, that we have a certain sister sing because it's the first Sunday, and making sure that this message is tailored toward people for the financial aspect because income tax time is there. They don't understand the intricacies behind the scenes of hearing the CEO of the church talk about how they need to do certain things to draw consumers into the building. It's man, it is so deep and layered, man, that I don't think a lot of people who are sitting in the church really have a full understanding of it, because they just have been there, and through their cognitive dissonance, their willful and, unwillful ignorance, they just, open their mouths, man, and swallow whatever the pastor gives them.
Your Wire analogy was brilliant, because, Leah, like you said, T.D. Jakes, you have to look at him as like Avon Barksdale, and now what you have is these younger guys that are coming up. They're the Marlows, because they're taking T.D. Jakes' business model. They're taking Avon's business model, and they're trying to be the next Avon. They're trying to be the next T.D. Jakes, and some of them are sitting right under T.D. Jakes as his protégés. You understand what I'm saying? And they're the Marlows of the world. You see what I'm saying? My former pastor, bruh, who happens to be a T.D. Jakes protégé, bruh, he thinks he's Avon Barksdale. You see what I'm saying? Complete with he really does think he's Avon Barksdale. Like, he has said it to people before. Like, indirectly, because he's a huge Wire fan. So if you think he's not sitting there studying the game, you understand what I'm saying, and putting that type of stuff into practice, it goes back to your analogy. The church game is just like the drug game.
But you think they're not? This is the part that I don't think people really understand. And taking it even further to your pastor wanting to be the Avon Barksdale. When you are a corner boy, when you are the dude who starts out as the lookout, who is simply sitting on the stoop to yell, hoo-hoo, meaning that the 5-0 is coming, that the cops are coming. Your whole goal in life is to do what? To become a corner boy. Then from a corner boy, you want to become a lieutenant. That's the way the drug game is set up. The church game is set up very similar. speaking as someone who was in that, who started in the back of the church, who began to be, who next thing you know was a lookout, the person who got up there to do the announcements. Next thing you know, I'm up there reading the Old Testament, New Testament scripture. Next thing you know, it's the same, literally the same business model. And what you're doing is you're pushing the product. It's a business. And it's so sad that there are well-meaning, well-intentioned people, because I don't ever want to throw out the blanket to say that every pastor is intentionally trying to be, using the same word that John used, nefarious in their methods to, manipulate and take advantage of people. But the system, itself, and let me go back to the drug game for a minute. There are well-meaning people who hustle and sell drugs. Well-meaning people who are literally trying to provide and feed their families, but because of numerous other issues, their only recourse, and some may disagree, is for them to hustle. The same thing with the church game, bro.
Yep. And it's true, man. And there will be a lot of people who will disagree. But you have to look at it. You have 14-year-old boys. Why do you think, what does a 14-year-old boy need to be out there? His mama on drugs, his daddy on drugs. He got little siblings he got to take care of. And wasn't that boy like that in The Wire?
Yeah, most of them are like that, bro.
Yeah, so they out there. They trying to survive. If they had and when you say the system set it up, so the system is against them, so they can't get a job. They can't do it the right way. They have to eat right now. They heating up their house with the stove. But you don't look at it. You don't see that side of it. All you see is them out there on the corner. You don't see how this little boy was abused and beat up by his crackhead mama. You don't see that.
By the system.
You don't see how everything's happening, and this boy got to go. This is the only thing he know how to make money is so his sister won't go starving, so his little brother won't go starving. You don't see that because you sitting driving in from Lexington Heights. I just made that up. Driving in 2 hours down to your church down here. It did, didn't it? Driving down to your little church in the hood.
It's not a real booze.
And guess what? You're gonna drive right back out as soon as service is over.
Right.
Or when they build that satellite campus, you ain't got to come to the hood no more. So you just go to the church right around the corner. So they done built the satellite campus, franchise, McChurch. And let me say, if your church has a marketing department, you're not in the church. You're in a business.
You're in a business. Right. Exactly.
You're in a business.
Exactly.
Why do you have a marketing department? Shouldn't just preaching Jesus be enough? What marketing department did the early saints have? Did the first century ecclesia have? What marketing department they had? It was just word of mouth. It was their works. People knew them by their works. They knew when people preached the gospel, they saw signs, miracles, and wonders followed those when they did the thing. Paul didn't have no marketing department. He just went around preaching. That was his marketing. It was his own mouth and the testimony of who Jesus was and what Jesus has done for all of humanity. He didn't have no department to go out and, like you said, go out and test the waters and see what's going on over here. Oh, maybe we can get your flyer built. Do this. I'm telling you, I just on Facebook is a something. I don't know if it's a group, it's an app. It's called Church Leaders or something like that. And let me see if I can find that real quick. But basically, what they want you to do is to like their app to make your church grow. They want you to make your church grow, so you get this app, and it's a way for you to market your church. And as soon as I can find it, I'm going to read it to y'all. So somebody go ahead and take over while I try to find this.
Man, I mean, me and El could go all day long comparing this to the drug game, man. But you got these young preachers, man. I mean, I've seen these guys. I've seen these young guys out here, with all these aspirations of starting a church. They're like, man, I'm gonna start a church. I'm gonna be the next pastor or whatever, big pastor. And it's like you don't see any, you don't really see any Jesus in them. You see enough Jesus in them to make them look like they're a pastor, but they got dollar signs in their eyes, man. And that's I mean, it's what TJ calls these little pimps, because they haven't blown up yet, but they these little pimps, they these corner boys, if you will.
Bruh,
you know what I mean?
Don't forget the trap queens though. Don't forget the trap queens. Don't forget the females. Don't forget the female dynamic into the drug game.
Run it. Go ahead and run it.
The ones who hold all of, A-lines and them secrets, things along those lines. That they're the ones who are willing to do whatever to make sure they get out of their own situation. You have the same type of thinking from females, some of them within the church game. Bruh, it is so unbelievable, and I know it would have been easier to stay with the McDonald's view, the Burger King franchise view, but those places are actual legal entities. They actually should be able to be a profitable business.
Right.
Selling drugs and pushing any form of illegal narcotic is a illegal business. Using that same thought process with the church never being something that God intended. Right now, I can't stand the whole notion of people saying this is God's house, as if that's the only exclusive place where God is going to show up on Sunday. So I'm going to make sure you understand that, hey, if you need something from God, you got to come here. That's what your local pusher going to say. Exactly. If you want them red caps, if you want them blue caps, you need to come over here down south. This is what we got today. We got this fresh. Right. Listen, we done stepped on this. We done cut this properly. Listen, man. The pastor is doing the same thing. Every night he's looking for some snippet from social media or some movie to introduce into his sermon as a way to keep your attention and to keep you hooked. Exactly. The outfit that he's picking, the music that he's playing is all with the intention of to get you to continue to come back every Sunday. And if he didn't want you to come back every Sunday, you know what he would say after every sermon? Listen, it is finished. It is done. Jesus did everything he needed for you. This is all you have to do, and I will holler at y'all next week. Matter of fact, I ain't coming next week. The game's on. Y'all can come by the crib. We're going to eat some chicken. But if you need to understand, they're not going to do that. They're going to give you just enough to keep you coming back.
Wow. They put the testers out.
Okay, I found it, John.
That's what Bible study is. Bible study is the testers.
Oh, my God. Right. They put the testers out and you come back on Sunday for the real stuff. Oh, man. Wow.
Listen to this, y'all. Facebook, and it's an app that you download from this thing called Church Leaders. It's an app. Facebook check-ins are the perfect way to tell people about your church. Not only is each check-in typically seen by over 200 friends, but it provides a ton of valuable information about your church. More Facebook check-ins mean more people invited to your church. This is your personal referrals, link to Facebook page, map location, and the organizational ratings. Hey, invite people to church. Forget about inviting them to Christ. Invite them to church. McChurch. I keep telling y'all, it's McChurch all over. It ain't going nowhere.
I had this honest conversation the other day, man. And we joke about it all the time. I was looking at my bills, looking at my finances. Money was funny, and change was strange.
Right.
And I was like, man, listen, I should go ahead and hold the revival. Okay, all right. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you actually believe that, because if you look at the schedule, family, if you look at when revivals and these other convocations and other conferences take place, it's very strategic that they actually look at a fiscal calendar to see when their congregation is going to have the most money. Why do you think during New Year's that they have all this push in this, when you hear all of this first fruits, all this new type of stuff that's taking place? Why do you think? You mean to tell me that they're not sitting back, having a conversation like, now, listen, Sister Stacy got 3 kids, so her earned income credit going to be on fleek. Sister Sue down the way, she got 4, so that's like $4,000 right there. All of them looking for a man. So what I'm going to do on this Sunday, I'm going to preach about keeping yourself pure and staying celibate, and how God is going to bless you with a good man only if you share your abundance. If you share your abundance, God, and knowing all these sisters is heartbroken, knowing they actually desire true love, but I'm going to be that charming dude in that 3-piece suit sitting up in the pulpit delivering this charismatic, deep, and wonderful message and talking about how pure and beautiful these women are and how they need love. And then I'm going to bang them in the head right before the tithes and say, listen, if you want your blessing, if you want God to bless you, listen, next Sunday, we're asking for everybody to give us 10% of their income tax. Listen, but that's only if you want to be blessed. And you know what happens next Sunday, right?
What?
Sister Stacy and Sister Sue break off Pastor Jamal with 10% of that doggone $4,000. And they're going to throw a little extra in there because, they want a good man. So I'm giving 15%.
It's a good man.
And I know it sounds for people, some people, man, they really believe, they think that we're making this type of stuff up. But I really wish people understood how the game is played and understand this is why we don't play no more.
That's right.
Listen, we got the rules to the game. Man, okay.
Yeah, take that caller,
let's
man.
get this caller.
Take that caller. I know who that is.
Area
That's
code
my man right
919-919. Welcome to McChurch. What's your name and your number, please?
Name
and comment. Name and comment.
Stu right here.
Comment.
This cat.
Welcome to McChurch.
Name and number. What the hell?
LG, you stupid.
919.
What's up, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you
now.
Yep.
Good morning, gentlemen.
What's up, bro?
This is Warren Robinson calling from Raleigh, Durham area. What's up, Brother Rob?
What's up, homie?
How's everybody?
We good.
We good, brother.
We're real good.
Listen, so real quick, this is a great show. This is my first time calling in. I just felt like I wanted to call in on this one and make a quick analogy, a quick point. You guys are dead on with the comparisons with the business world and McChurch and all that. And one thing I just wanted to make sure that we pointed out is that, just as you guys are saying, the businesses are set up to make money, and many of these churches are set up for the same purpose. The purpose of food is nutrition, and the more nutritious the food, the more expensive it is. And these churches are not set up to provide the maximum amount of nutrition, but they make their money based on the more fillers and additives that they put in their food. So what people have to understand is that the church makes money based relative to the least amount of nutrition that they provide. McNuggets they have just enough chicken in them to be able to use the title Chicken McNugget.
Wow. Uh-oh.
It's just enough. It's just enough. And, the restaurants that provide, organic foods and 100% chicken and all that, those restaurants are too expensive. So we really need to reexamine what the old folks used to mean when they would say you have to count up all the costs that it takes to walk with Jesus. Now, walking with Jesus, those that walk closer to him, there's a different level of commitment for them than it is for people who watch and follow from a distance. And with many of the mega churches and the churches that we're talking about now, they can fill the rooms and fill the sanctuaries with people who really just need, they need nutrition, but the pastors can't really give them real nutrition because the people aren't willing to make that kind of commitment, and neither are the pastors. So the Chicken McNuggets and McDonald's menus and Burger King, all those places, they're good to fill you because they're full of fillers. But they're not nutritious. And in fact, I think we see evidence of the fact that the more you consume of what they serve, the closer you are to death.
Wow.
The more of McDonald's, the more of the food that you eat from those places, the sicker you get.
Oh, wait a minute. Did my man just say that they cutting the drugs?
Yep. Basically. Yep. Oh, this analogy is crazy, man. This analogy is crazy because you could go to Burger King right now and get $1.40. You can get 10 chicken nuggets from Burger King for $1.49. They're running advertisements on TV. Right. They're running advertisements like crazy on TV. It's just like my man's analogy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
And if you think about it, and I think it was in China recently. I don't know where that report is. I read it somewhere, and I don't want to misquote it, but it seems like China, for a period of time, told McDonald's no because of what was in their food.
Yep, they did.
I don't want to misquote it, but I seem like I read something like that online or something. But the point I'm making is that they have just enough of the good stuff in it to make you think you're getting nutrition, but you're not. And
still
the more
getting
you
milk.
consume, that's right. And the more you consume, the less healthy you are. And the less healthy you are, you take those same bad eating habits and teach them to your children. Your children see you eat McDonald's. Children see you go to a doctrine-less, a gospel-less church, and they take the same appetite, and it develops in them, and you're killing yourself and you're killing your children at the same time.
Wow.
But you know something? He's absolutely right. And I'm going to tell you how he's right. Tomorrow, after everybody done heard the word and they done rolled around on the floor and they emptied out their wallets, tomorrow, you ask these same people what the pastor preached about, and the first thing that the majority of them are going to say is, I don't remember, but it was a good word. Because it was all regurgitated. When you have food in you that does not agree with you or is unhealthy for you, you're going to throw it up. It's going to come out of your system. He's absolutely right.
And you're never going to get full. You know what I mean? You're never going to get full. You'll get the perception of being full. But you'll never, ever get full.
No. The fillers are designed so that you get full, but you don't get nourished.
There you go.
The fillers are designed to get full, but you won't get nourished.
Wow.
Yeah. And
So you can't grow.
Listen to y'all.
So you can't grow.
What you say, L?
I was going to get a McRib today, but now, you know. The way my life is set up, bro, you know, I can't.
Well, look, every now and then you have to go to, you got to get one of them. It's the sad thing is the people who they have substituted nutrition and real nutrition for this. And they think, and that's the sad thing, they think that is nutrition. They really believe that they're growing and their bones are being strengthened and all that. But the truth is, it's weakening every single system in your body. Slowly but surely, you're getting full, but it's weakening everything in your body. Your immune system, your bones, everything is being weakened by what they are adding to that tiny, tiny, tiny piece of truth.
Wow.
Gentlemen,
brilliant.
I've got to go. I have to go to work on Sunday, so let me.
All right.
All right, Warren. Thanks for calling in, brother.
All right. God bless you all, man.
All right, man. Take care. Yeah,
wow.
that's my man right there. That was brilliant, bro.
It was a good analogy. But like you can't grow. When you're not eating properly, you can't grow. And we talked about growing spiritually. But it's still McChurch. Now you might have some churches that teach give you more doctrine. But at the end of the day, you're still getting the same thing. That burger we was talking about earlier, you're still getting that same burger. Whether it's flame broiled or however it's cooked, you're still getting that same burger. And are you really growing spiritually by what you're doing?
That Five Guys burger is a whole lot better than McDonald's. But you know something? It's still a burger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, that Applebee's burger though. Hey, them Applebee's burgers. All right, guys. Let's, y'all got anything else on McChurch, man?
Yeah. One more. I do. One more thing. If you notice, we've been using the analogy of the drug game for a while, and if you notice, when you go to church, they're not going to come and ask you, especially if it's your first time there. You know what I'm saying? You're new or whatever the case may be. They're not going to ask you They're not going to ask you the first time to start giving. You know what I'm saying? They'll put it out there, but that's mainly for those who already know what the status quo is. Okay? Mm-hmm. So basically what's going to happen is that you're going to church to try it out for free. Mm-hmm. Once you get in, once you know what the deal is and whatnot, that's when the pastor's going to pull you into the office and say, listen, you've been coming for a little while now. We need you to come up off of some of that money. Just like in the drug game, okay? They'll let you try it for free, but when you come back for more, you got to pay for it.
It's a tester. Yep, putting the testers out. Yeah, hey man, this is a good place right here, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Gentlemen, any final thoughts? Let's start with Elgin.
Man, essentially, bro, the same thing. I just want people to, first off, understand the importance and significance of Jesus' life, his death, and resurrection, and understand how that plays in part to their identity in Christ. And once they know those things, to begin to walk in freedom and to firmly understand, Jesus plus nothing equals everything. Jesus plus nothing equals everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just learn to separate your dedication to church, from your dedication to Christ. It has nothing they have nothing to do with each other. So just like piggybacking off what Elgin said, Jesus plus nothing, including church, equals everything. That nothing, church is included in that nothing. The system is broken, y'all. We say this all the time. Next.
And let me clarify this, because you get a lot of people who may hear this on YouTube or hear it later on. And when we say church, understand we're talking about the system, the institutionalized church, the system, not the people. Because people have a hard time making that distinction between the people and the institution. That line has been blurred, and way before any of us was ever even thought of. It's been blurred. So we're talking about the system of church. And for me, when I talk about McChurch, what McChurch means to me is the cookie cutter sameness that you'll get. No matter what type of church you go to, no matter what denomination, at the end of the day, you're going to get a sermon, you're going to get some preaching, you're going to get some singing, you're going to give some money. And can you find any of that in Scripture.
Mm.
And that's McChurch to me, the cookie cutter aspect, not even the franchise aspect, but just the cookie cutter sameness of it. Next.
I was gonna say that a burger is a burger, no matter how it's dressed up, no matter how it's cooked, it's still a burger.
Yeah.
I was waiting for some more. No,
said that 16 times today already. But we get it. Yeah, we get it. We get it.
Want to do it? Want to do it?
Oh, boy. Oh, my God.
Purge yourself from processed foods. Purge yourself from processed church. Put down the McRib and put down the McGospel. Get a real relationship fight.
Man, you got Elgin back there broke up, man.
Man,
LL, that was a good word, LL. LL, that was great, bro. I agree.
Appreciate
it. John got Elgin back there cracking up, man.
Man, bro. I'm at a loss, bro. Y'all crazy.
All right.
I'm telling you.
So, Lord, thank you for this show. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come together and discuss this thing. We pray that somebody got something out of what was said today, Lord, because we know it's not our place to change anybody's mind. It's our place to plant seeds and maybe even water some seeds. But at the end of the day, we want you to get the increase, Father God. We thank you for allowing us this opportunity. We appreciate you. We love you. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So next week, someone hopped on a motorcycle. So next week, we'll be back, same time, 10 o'clock. Don't forget to check out my main man, Tyrone Jacques. He will be on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays starting tomorrow.
Hey, bro, don't you ever say jocks like that again, okay?
What?
Don't do it, bro. Don't do it. 'Cause I don't know what you had in your throat area just now, but you should clear it ahead of time.
I speak French.
No, brother. That wasn't French.
Jacques.
Saying, can I have an order of French fries? It's not French, bro.
Why are you talking about my man's throat? Why you talking about what's in that man's throat this morning, man?
I know, man.
Did you hear him? Like, it was like his rump hanging there. Then he had to dance over to get the like, come on, bro.
You ever heard of Jacques Cousteau?
Y'all do something crazy, man.
Anyway, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, 11 Central. Check out TJ and the rest of the Church Folk Revolution family. We appreciate you guys. Love you, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Thank you for checking out this episode of Real Talk Radio. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel and Facebook page, or drop us a line at 4realtalkradio@gmail.com. That's the number 4, realtalkradio@gmail.com. Man, send your comments, concerns, criticisms, or show ideas. We would love to hear from you. Till next week, we out.